have not learned how to be engaged in class. Instructors should explicitly communicate their expectation that students will be in class, taking notes as full intellectual participant. It usually happens kapag introductional portion where the teacher asking the students about their expectation about on their subjects and from the teacher. And ganun din naman ang teacher asking the student what should be he expected on them. And all of those expectations will serve as guide for a teacher where he could focus his teaching. What are the good things about strategy number 6? Take notes by hand. Taking notes by hand results in more learning than just taking notes with a laptop, partly because students are forced to paraphrase when they take notes by hand. So kung mapapansin natin, many students these days take notes on their laptop, computers, tablets, or even smartphones. More likely sa mga urban areas, sa mga cities like Manila. Karamihan sa school is gumagamit sila ng laptop sa remote learning nila kung saan sila gagawa ng mga output, activity, at via email na lang nila ipapasa sa kanilang teacher. Unlike before sa traditional way, nagdadala pa ng aklat, may pencil case pa, lapis, ball pens, minsan wala na ang bigla. Pero medyo may advantage din naman kapag ang gamit natin is computers, tablets, or smartphone kasi mas accessible at mapapadali yung gawain natin and nakakapag-save pa tayo ng mga trees. Pero in terms of learning, mas effective ang taking notes by hand kasi hindi lang na-enhance yung ating pagsusulat, na-exercise pati yung ating utak which is yung sa remembering and understanding natin about sa lesson. Or meron namang alternative kapag hindi ka makapag-take notes, you can record it and listen to it at a later time. But be sure merong permission from the speaker or teacher yung gagawin mong pag-record. Finally, we should also encourage our students who must occasionally miss the class to get the notes from another reliable student rather just downloading lecture slides or notes. If fellow students, notes will have the explanation and additional material not present in the lecture notes. So kung tayo naman ay wala dun sa klase or merong excuse or nasa importanteng event like athlete excuse kasi may practice, pwede tayong maghiram ng notebook sa ating mga klase, but dapat dun sa reliable student or yung mga may maayos na notebook or sulat which is alam natin na andun yung explanation na sinabi ng teachers na hindi lang galing doon sa simulat sa boards or naka PowerPoint. Siyempre, di ba, hindi naman lahat ay naka-indicate yung explanation sa mismo textbook. Yung iba, mas na-elaborate kapag teacher na mismo ang nag-explain. Strategy number 7. Homework as assessment. Remember Dana, the undergraduate at the verge of leaving physics who now holds a master's degree in medical physics, shows in chapter 3. So, before Dana got only 80 and 54 scores on her first general exam, but after this strategy, she completely transformed her performance on physics exams where she got 91 and 97 scores on her exam. As for the authors, most of the science students who came to him was earning low CS, DS, and or FS who subsequently began to make A grades, say that doing homework without using some example as a guide is the one change that turned everything around. In introducing this strategy, teacher asked his student, if there were a camera recording everything you do when you sit down to do your homework, tell me exactly what it would see. Student, okay, I sit down and I open my book and then I look at the first problem. Teacher, have you ever looked at a problem and immediately decided to flip back in the textbook to look for an example? Student, yes, Dr. Margiri. How did you know? Teacher, because everybody is doing it. I did it myself when I was in college. To To be honest po, personally, based on my experience or siguro, yung iba sa atin dito ay ginagawa yung ganitong method. Kapag may assignment or homework, titingin muna sa problem. Kapag di naintindihan, flip back sa examples, then problem ulit, go back to examples, problem ulit, hanggang sa matapos yung homework. Lalo na siguro sa subject na math. Kapag hindi talaga natin maintindihan, kahit siguro yung formula, solutions, titingnan na natin para lang masagutan yung math. But on this book indicated that this method is exactly the wrong way to go about doing homework problems. So, bakit kaya? Homework and example problems in the textbook and class notes should always be treated as an opportunity for students to test themselves. They should study for the homework the way they would study for a quiz. Before looking at the homework questions or problems, they should actively read the relevant part of the textbook or any class notes. Okay, kaya pala mali ang aking method na ginagawa. From the title of the strategy itself, homework as assessment, dapat tinitingnan natin yung homework and assignment as quiz or test. Before looking at the homework questions or problem, we should actively read the relevant part of the textbook or any class notes. Parang kumbagay review ang ginagawa natin. Yung gagawa natin to nagtitake ng exam at test. So, ganun din dapat ang gawing proseso or procedure natin sa pagsasagot ng homework. So, hindi naman din i-disregard ang pagtingin sa textbook or sa class notes, but be sure tapos ka na dun sa homework. This is just to compare or check your final answer kung tama ba or may kailangan kang itama sa iyong ginawa. Okay, moving on. When a teacher asks students why mistakes are good, they answer, you learn from your mistakes, you can correct your mistakes, you never make the same mistake twice, you learn where your mind has a tendency to go wrong, you won't lose points if you make a mistakes now. Meron nga po tayong kasabihan na no one is perfect. Lahat tayo ay nagkakamali and to commit a mistake is okay. Kasi kapag tayo nagkamali, tayo ay pwedeng matuto. Pero hindi naman po kasi sinabing kapag nagkamali tayo ay matututo ay gagawin nating habit ang gumawa ng pagkakamali. At saka pwede nating itama ang ating pagkakamali para next time hindi na maulit ang ganung pangyayari. At maiiwasan na agad natin yung mga bagay na pwede tayo magkamali. And like for example, sa exam, kapag yung sagot natin ngayon is mali, sa next exam, lalabas ulit yung question, ay maiitama na natin yung ating maling sagot. Strategy number 8. Students as teachers. Students can also assess their understanding of material by teaching it to a friend who may or may not be in the same course, or by pretending to teach it to an empty sofa, a pet, or a group of stuffed toys, dolls, or action figures. In trying to explain concepts in a way that others can understand, students become aware of the gaps in their understanding or of details that are not entirely clear to them. They can then attempt to clear up their confusions themselves or ask a colleague or instructor. Students usually appreciate the power of strategy due to our previous discussion about make an A mode versus teach the material mode. In this strategy, students as teachers, we can assess our understanding about the material. Lalo na kapag tayo ay presenter or discussant sa ating klase. Pag nagre-report tayo, nire-rehearse pa natin kung paano at ano ang nire-report natin sa unahan. By pretending na may tinuturuan tayong isang bata or may audience tayo like stuffed toys, dolls, action figures, minsan yung ating mga alagang hayop, or minsan naka-face the wall pa tayo or nakapikit. Pero mas maganda kung yung audience natin is pwedeng magbigay ng response o feedback about sa report natin. Pwede tayong itama or may nakitang mali sa ating report, or pwede natin pagtanungan kung meron tayong hindi naintindihan sa ating i-discuss. Strategy number 9. Come together right now. Working in pairs or groups, in addition to working alone, can be a powerful supplement to the other learning strategies. Diba, meron po tayong mga kasabihan na no man is an island, the more the merrier, and isa is two heads are better than one. Para sa walis lang po, kapag tingting lang siya, hindi siya ganun ka-effective na ipanlinis. Although, pwede natin siyang magamit pantusok ng mga dahon. Pero, kapag pinagsama-sama natin ang tingting at ang walis, makikita natin yung result, kung gaano ka-effective siya sa panlinis. Benefits of group study. In groups, students often have the opportunity to teach and learn from each other. Working in groups helps students engage in one of the major aspects of metacognition, accurately judging their own learning. So, pag group study po is win-win situation lang. You teach and also you learn from them. And na-assess mo or na-measure mo yung pagkaunawa mo dun sa isang material. Cook et al. Asserts that students in groups evaluate each other's thinking, more likely to be metacognitive about the approach information than when they work alone. So, syempre, sa group, hindi lang isang ideas ang umiikot. Lahat na ideas ninyo is mapag-uusapan ninyo and mag-brainstorm and ma-assess mo kung paano nila i-approach or kung paano nila naunawaan ang isang information. So, there's also a question here. Why are study groups helpful? Study respond. If I say something wrong, other people can correct me. So, kapag may isang sa tingin nila is mali sa sinabi mo, pwede ka nilang i-correct, but dapat ikaw ay maalam kang tumanggap ng pagkukorek ng iba, or kung nagkamali ka, dapat matuto kang tumanggap ng pagkakamali mo kasi para sa sarili mong kapakanan. Kasi minsan pag group study, kapag sinabihan na mali yung sinabi mo, iba yung may misinterpret na isang tao yan. Isipin niya, nagmamagaling ka groupmate niya, kaya minsan di na lang siya nakikiparticipate. Dapat kapag tinama tayo, tanggapin natin kasi para din naman sa ating kapakanan yan. I can hear the way other people think about the material. So, di ba sabi nga, hindi lang yung isang ideas ang umiikot, naaano mo rin yung kung paano in-approach ng mga kasama mo yung isang material. But of course, the student must actually be working rather than socializing. So, pag group activity, dapat inuuna yung gawain kaysa yung pagkikipagdaldalan. So, karaniwan po yan sa high school. Pag sinabing mag-group, hindi sama-sama na naman ang pagkakapalgada. Or minsan pag count 1 to 3, count 1 to 4, lilipat ng upuan kung sa tingin nila papatak yung number na kasali din yung kanilang kabalkada. So, yan. Strategy number 10. Play detective. Piece together a mock exam using homework and quizzes as clues. Finally, you can playfully tell your students to stop bugging you about what will be on the test and recommend that they use the following strategy instead. From the syllabus, lecture notes, homework assignments, and quizzes, they can deduce the topics and problem types that will appear on the exam. Then, they can create an outline of an exam or create their own practice exam using the bank of problems in the textbook, and if applicable, supplemental optional problems provided throughout the unit by the instructor. So, di ba pag narinig or sinabihan tayo ng teacher na may exam tomorrow or next week, tinatanong agad natin yung coverage or type of exam. So, using this strategy, dinadaan ng teacher sa mga quiz muna para hindi mahirapan yung kanyang estudyante after or pagdating ng pinakang final exam. So, gaya po namin yung high school, meron kami nahati yung exam namin sa easy, prelim, final, pre-final, and final. Sa tatlong naunang exam, Yung lahat ng exam naman yun is included sa final exam, and yung madadagdag is yung sa before the final exam na na-discuss. So, kung hindi naman, yung teacher mismo, gaya ni ma'am, ay nire-review niya ang kanyang estudyante or piniprepare niya before the exam. Or kung hindi naman, pwede din in group, bumubuo ng group ang isang instructor or teacher para hindi mahirapan yung isang bata na mag-review. So, diba, gaya natin, may grupo tayo, mag-asa ng topics, at yung mga topics na yung gagawa ng questions, each group, and ipapasa sa instructor or teacher, then i-include yun sa exam. In articles for the New York Times, there are people or writer mentions show powerful evidence demonstrating the effectiveness of testing as a way to reinforce, deepen, and enrich learning. Rudiger and Karpek 2006 asked college students to study science passages in preparation for later reading comprehension tests. If students studied this passage in two sequential sessions, they performed well on a test given right after the study session, but the material did not stick. However, another group of students who studied the passage only once and in the second session took a practice test did well on assessment 2 days later and another test a full week later. Testing is a powerful way to deepen and lengthen learning. Penbaker, Gosling, and Farrell 2013 did something radical with their introductory psychology course at the University of Texas. Instead of giving a final exam, they replaced it with a series of short quizzes that students took on their laptops at the beginning of each class. The quizzes were especially beneficial for the type of students, many from low-performing high schools, who don't realize how far behind they are until it's too late. Practice this testing works. If students want to ace the real exam, they should practice first. Practice makes perfect. The strategies, a recap. These 10 strategies, according to the author, make up the heart of his work and the heart of this book. Chapter 6 through 10 and Chapter 12 address the issue of student motivation and happiness. And Chapter 11 explains how these strategies can be introduced to the groups of students at once, either small or very large. Students need not use all 10 strategies to see fast and dramatic result. I recommend they begin with the reading, classroom, and homework strategies and add more as they continue on their metacognitive journey. A useful resource. Before presenting the strategies to students, consider giving them the Learning Strategies Inventory or LSI. It appears in Appendix E. Students indicate which strategies they are currently using via a true or false assessment, and the LSI predicts the grade they will earn in the course. The purpose of the LSI is not to shame students into recognizing what they are doing wrong. Its purpose is to further convince students that their performance directly correlates with their behavior, rather than any innate fixed ability. In fact, one major purpose of everything authors share with you is to help students attribute their results to only their actions, to help them change their mindset. Wrapping up my pitch. When I present or the author presents these strategies to a student in an individual consultation, at the end of the session, I usually ask 2 questions to determine the likelihood that the students will begin using these strategies. First question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how different are the strategies we have talked about from ones you have been using up to this point? A response of 1 represents no difference at all. 10 is a difference as extreme as day and night. If the student reports a number between 7 and 10, I know that the student can recognize the difference between what he or she has been doing and the actions I'm encouraging. Even though I know that the strategies are different, the student must recognize the difference or he or she won't do anything different. The second question is, on a scale 1 to 10, how motivated are you to start using these strategies? 1 is not at all, 10 is I can't wait to start them today. I am satisfied if a student gives a number between 8 and 10. Then I reinforce the idea that students' future performance will depend only on whether they use the strategies and not at all on how smart they are. Explicitly expressing my confidence that all students can be successful. In individual sessions, I ask the students to keep in touch via email and give assurance that I will be available for future meetings. So that would be all. Thank you.